There it is. Ahoy, yes. Nautical theme, nautical puns, very important here. That's maybe one of our guiding principles on this project, is stay comically hokey.
As many puns as possible.
Exactly, please. But truly, let's keep it lighthearted. I mean, that's what it's all about. This is supposed to be fun and functional too. That's really important to me, is capital F-U-N. So, ahoy, I'm Matt. Yes, I am. And I'm an islander as of 5 years. I really grew up in New York, though, and on the East Coast. But I've been on the island 5 years now, and I love Bainbridge. I love the Northwest. It's just so special and cool out here. But I'm a graphic designer and kind of a miscellaneous designer too. I've done some other kind of. I've done a little bit of product design and a little bit of architectural design, but mostly all just conceptual. So here's some of the work I've done. I've been involved with Barn for about 1.5 years because mainly of the wood shop and the ETA's laser cutter, and I've done a lot of work for Iggy's. If you guys are familiar with Iggy's, they're an island fermentation house. They make some great products. They really do. It's not just a plug. And I've made most of their tap handles and their signs that you'll see up around town in Seattle and on some shelves with the ETA's awesome laser cutter. And I'm teaching some classes too on the laser cutter. So if you guys want to get your laser chops up, I can help you do that. I've also done some product design, like I mentioned, and some architectural design, blah, 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 blah. And I even had a concept for, this is back in last summer, they were basically asking the community for ideas for the Sakai property, which is across from the high school that the city had recently acquired. So I proposed an observation tower, a 94-foot rammed earth and Core 10 steel observation tower for that property. Kind of ambitious, and I showed it to the Parks Department. The guy from the review was there, thought it was cool. We did a story, and then he ended up putting it on the cover of the paper. You can see on the bottom left. Wowee. Pretty cool, though. I was humbled. But I really wasn't too serious about trying to pursue this project. It was almost like it just seems like the screen dimmed for some reason. But, now it's back. You guys notice that? Anyway, it was almost like a stunt. It was just kind of fun to do and to propose something kind of bold for the island, just to kind of get people's big thinking juices going. But really, it's an enormous undertaking. It's 3 times the height of allowed building heights on the island. It'd be crazy expensive. There'd be all sorts of liability things. There'd be et cetera, et cetera. But I put a lot of thought into it, and it's a portfolio piece now, and I still am proud of it. But so I guess I consider myself an artist of sorts, which can be a vague title. But I'm actually more interested in being what I call a functional artist or a fartist. So what I'm here to do is to pitch my next chunk of fart on you guys. Exactly. So we're here to be really serious about farts today. So I'm extending to you guys, and I've adapted this slideshow, by the way, from a previous presentation I gave to the Spartronics group, and we'll get to them and their role in this project soon. But so some of these slides are not exactly for Barn, but there's only so much energy I can put into these things. So this is Opportunity of a Voyage. This is perfectly applicable, this slide, and I'm requesting your help for this farty adventure. We're about to go on a voyage. Come aboard for Ferries over Winslow. Ferries over Winslow. What is it? It's accurate ferry boat tracking via scale model. So I've put an enormous amount of time into the website, so I might as well just show you the website. So there it is.
It's useful and it's playful.
It's useful and it's playful. A proposal for it. I think that's a better way to say it. Accurate ferry boat tracking with scale models. So you can see there are some fun little things that move, and that's the idea. So 2 towers, along Winslow Way. Why say, though, what I've spent a lot of time saying in the Word? So I'll just read it to you like a children's book. Sailing silently along cable strung over Winslow Way, mechanical model ferries represent real-time crossing progress. A whimsical yet practical way to display the tireless boats relied upon in our day-to-day. It will offer a visual cue of the fleet for those on feet or street. Delightfully kitsch, endearingly hokey. And it's functional. Why? Because the Washington State Ferries are integral to Bainbridge Island life and an inextricable part of its identity. Clock-like and precise, the installation would fill a yet realized role as an at-a-glance ferry reference. And this is important to me, is that so much is digital and screen-based. People would say this project, why do we need this? You have the ferry app on your phone. But not everyone has phones, but even beyond that, you know, I love screens, but let's, not everything has to be on a screen. So here we might revive the awesome animated analog, exactly, something kind of almost old world. And how? Motorized miniature vessels voyage between two masts capped with iconic figureheads representative of each port. So you can see there's a little Space Needle right there, and then there's an evergreen tree to represent Bainbridge. Simple enough, I think those work well. And the data utilized is provided to the public by Washington Dot via the internet. Yes, exactly, the internet. VESSELWATCH, maybe you guys have seen that, but it's a great site. It's updated every 15 seconds. It's pretty reliable. So all this data we need to have these boats move accurately and in sync with the website is completely, is free to the public. It's not some crazy loophole we have to get permission from Washington Dot for. It's just a matter of extracting it and putting it into a physical manifestation. And there are some other things. So with a little help from, I used to have some more people on here, but I was told that maybe I shouldn't put them on until I officially have their go-ahead. So, well, with a little help from Barn, yeah, I think I've already have enough of their kind of willingness to support this to put them on the website, because it is going to be a little help. Barn's going to help no matter what, but it doesn't mean that they're it's sponsored by or put on by or they're giving any money towards it. They're just doing what Barn does, is allows creative ideas to flourish and to take shape and to collaborate with others. So Barn is going to help. We'll talk about how more specifically in a little bit. Spartronics, so they're dead center and a little bit bigger than the others because they are the high school's robotics team, and they're as far as I know, our local robotics gurus, our experts. So I just thought, you know, go right to them. So I've already gone to them, and I'll tell you a little bit of that in a second. But yeah, and I think it'd also be great to have the kids involved and for all those good reasons. And then Clark Construction, they are my preferred construction firm. They've already done some preliminary structural analysis and site evaluation, but nothing too crazy. But they're good people, and they'll help. So yeah, so some of the lighting here, this fun stuff, right? Just how it really works. Yeah, the traditional nautical bow lights. So depending on which color you see, even if it's far away, you know the heading of the vessel. If you see green, it's moving to the right. If you see red, it's moving to the left. Easy enough. The anchor lights. So on each one of those sides, there's an anchor. That's where the cables terminate. Seemed like a clever enough metaphor. So there's a little light that'll go on there. So you know the boat's in port, looking, so you can see, look far down Winslow Way. You can tell it'll blink before departure, and then it'll turn red, maybe 10 if it's late. And then at the base of one of them is a console, which is kind of a riff on a ship's console. It has a little compass and has the knots, a knot gauge, and then has you know, really useful stuff like the scheduled departure, the actual time it's leaving, and then the estimated time of arrival. And then maybe even has a little area for a printed schedule on the bottom, because why not? Location's still being determined, but I think, so these were 3 different possible locations. One I was thinking right there in front of the streamliner. The other one was going to be here over the ravine, which would be maybe the most beautiful setting, and even have the metaphor of a ship crossing water. But really, if it's going to be useful, if it's going to keep that F in the fart, it needs to, I think, be more central. So in front of TNC is the most likely location. It's also slightly higher elevation than other parts on Winslow Way, so it'll be a little bit kind of on a pedestal. And then here are some drawings, not to get too much information from, but they're just to show that I've done some thinking and that you know, there's going to need to be some engineering done. And that's really why we're here today, is to talk about, is to begin talking about some of the more technical challenges and obstacles. And then I even created an online campaign to, you have to try to get some money, of course, but none of it's for me, and I explained that thoroughly. So if you guys feel like donating for the cause, that would be great, and that will help my case too when I go and present in front of the Public Art Committee next month. And they'll hopefully, I mean, I've already, it's a whole, you know, bureaucratic process to speak with those type of committees, but from the couple people I've spoken to thus far, they're into it, think it's cool, and that's why they've invited me to present. So if I can show that others are interested in it through their donations, couldn't hurt, that's all. And I did create this little video here, which is kind of fun, but kind of a joke. I've gotten some feedback that it needs to be, you know, more like a modern video with more action and more things happening. But I'm not ready to do all that. It's partly a joke. Oh, you saw it?
I loved it.
Oh, thank you, great. So what?
I didn't watch the whole thing.
No, please. If you watch the whole thing, I'm a little worried about you. It's just a joke. It's just the boat's happening in real time, and I say, feel the rush in real time, because yes, clearly there is no rush. And it just the same words I had above, but the idea is they move in real time, so it's 35 minutes of those boats slowly going across, and I made a nice little kind of nautical playlist for it.
Blow them fascists all to hell.
And that's all there is to it. All right, so I don't know if we need to, well, if you want to, I'll just show you real quick here too. Here's the campaign. So far, yeah, 1%, that's really inspiring. But I'm really not worried about it, it's okay. Yep, there's a campaign. I got some different classes too. I'll give you some laser cut wooden ferry magnets, or even we'll get into 3D printing, and then maybe some metal ones as an incentive for donating. We'll get there, and they're different classes of boats. Trying to be cute here, sticking with the nautical puns, and most important here, no artist fees. That would be me, or I guess I should say fartist fees. But there's a loose idea on my budget, 47K. I don't know. I think that's accurate, but there's all sorts of hidden fees. That'll come together. Yep, puns. Okay, so back to the slideshow. Dun, dun, dun. I gotta go full screen. Cool. All right, current position, where I'm at thus far. So yeah, posters around town. Maybe you've seen them on the public message boards, which are all over, of course, Blackbird, etc. Website, yep. Crowdfunding campaign, yep. So I presented to the Sparktronics, which was great. 20 of their students, and I understand they're bigger than that too, but I presented to 20 of the leaders who meet bi-weekly, and they're excited by the project, and they want to be able to help, and they just need some more specifics from me and parameters as to what I want them to do. But either way, that won't happen. That's not going to happen until the fall, when they're back in session and ready to take this on. So we'll figure that all out. And yeah, I got invited to present to the Public Art Committee in July. So here's how I envision this happening, and all the help it'll need. Arts and Humanities, which is a kind of a separate division, but they are the Public Art Committee. Basically, the city will not allow any public art installation without their blessing. So that meeting is essential next month. And I'm hoping BEMA to get involved too, the art museum, but we'll see. So yeah. So the Sparktronics will hopefully take on the robotics side of things, and hopefully they'll be working with Barn too. It'll be some sort of a collaborative thing. I'm not quite sure how that'll work, but we'll figure it out. And they'll make the internals of the robots. Barn would hopefully make the externals would make the hulls of the boats. 3 of them. We're going to need one backup in case one goes down. The ferries would hopefully, and Barn will also do some other. We'll get to that in a bit. The ferries would maybe help just support it in some ways through their IT department, just making sure that we have a nice, clear connection with the information, with the data we need. And the fabrication, I was thinking they would help maybe make the masts with some like spare pipe they had lying around their crazy yard. But then I had some people to say that they don't do anything like that, and because they're a government organization, so good luck with that, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Clark is helping, and then finally T-Mobile. Everyone loves big telecommunications companies, right? But it's going to be necessary here because we're going to need 24/7 data. And there's free Wi-Fi in downtown Winslow, which sounds great, but anything free, I'm a little leery of its reliability, and I've heard it's not too reliable. And even if it was Wi-Fi and it was reliable Wi-Fi, it still wouldn't be as reliable as cell phone service, I think. So I think we're best off just using a $10 a month Internet of Things account with one of these providers here. And yeah, recognition. So whoever helps, you can kind of see here under the council, we maybe have a little laser cut post that which have logos of all the people who were laser cut panel of all the organizations who helped make this possible and who lended their support, and then maybe some little donors down there. Blah 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 blah. Yep, construction. This is a little document I put together just for Clark, the construction firm, so they could look at. Here's different post concepts, how it would be anchored in the ground, concrete, or maybe this one was a spade, drive it down deep, or even like screw it in. What the heck do I know? But they're just some food for thought. But the idea is when we do install it on Winslow Way, it would be minimally invasive and no jackhammers and nothing crazy. Just try to ideally, you know, one day it's not there, the next day it is. The loose budget, all that fun stuff. And here, just to show you, this is what I was asking of the Spartronics, is to design engineer the ferry bots. Yep, build the internals, establish secure and reliable connection with the control tower, extract the data from the website and translate as robotic instruction. I'm not sure if they'll do that, or I think that's actually more of a barn task, and it's possible that Robin may be the man for the task, but we'll get to all that. Collaborate with Barn Electronic Arts Metal as necessary for superb execution. Yes, ding, ding, ding. And maintain the ferry bots. That's important too. These things can't go to crap when, you know. So we'll figure all that, all logical stuff. So how Barn can help? So we're finally getting to it here. What am I asking of Barn? Why am I here presenting? Is because I hope these 3 studios will help, and ETA will have the biggest role. They're lower, but not for any particular reason. It's more like they're center. So yeah, ETA. We're in ETA. Let's talk about them first. The data solution to get that website data, and yeah, just keep it coming reliably. I don't speak too much IT or tech, so I just know we need the data, and it's got to be good and reliable. And maybe with the blessing of the Washington dot. Most likely, definitely, probably so. Control tower, hardware, software, yep. The control tower is at the top of one of the masts. We'll get to that in a second, but it sends out signals wirelessly to those boats, and it also sends the information down into the kiosk down on the street level. And the console, yep, that's the street level hardware solution. And the promo material fundraiser thank yous, those 3D printed things and laser cut Tchotchkes, etc. Metal Arts, we're asking them to fabricate the ferry bot hull. So I've already spoken to Jack Archer, who's the studio lead over at Metal Arts, sheet metal side, and he, you know, just confident and gung ho and optimistic. He's a piece of cake. I mean, he just looked at it and said it would be barely anything, as if he could, you know, do it with one hand, and I actually believe him. But he wasn't braggadocious at all. Sheet metal, and also maybe make the Space Needle, which shouldn't be too hard either. And then machining would be miscellaneous components that you might need. And then glass, I'm hoping that evergreen tree that you can see faintly there is actually made of glass, and it glows ever so softly at night. So maybe that could be a fun project for the Glass Arts to take on. It also represents Bainbridge, so it could be sort of a pride thing, and, you know, just, yeah, Barn sinking their teeth into it. So those are the 3 studios I hope to help. And of course, behind it all is the kitchen arts, keeping our bellies full. But just kidding, but not so much. Okay, so the teams, so 2 major teams with the electronic and the structural team. Yeah, so what can I really say here? So the Barn main task would be the control tower, which interfaces with the web and interfaces with the ferry bots. That's the important, you know, it all from the control tower. It's an important role. The console, some of the anchor lights, which is just basic stuff. And then the figurehead lights, which is the anchor lights are what turn on when a boat gets to either side, and the figurehead lights are just, you know, ornamental things. They're not essential, but they'd be cool. And then the structural stuff, some of that, yeah, will be outsourced. And the holes will be the sheet metal. And yep, there you go. You guys can all read. Okay, so today the itinerary is we want to maybe establish some communication. We want to maybe get a Google group going if whoever wants to be part of this. And I'm also open to other suggestions as to ways to communicate. I know there's things like Slack, and there's things like what's the other one? GitHub, and other ways. I'm not that hip with collaborative software, but Google Group sounds like. I'm more of the philosophy. Let's try to keep it simple, and if we can just even get by with email chains, let's do that. Establish regular meetings. So I'm thinking, yeah, at Barn. I'm thinking Wednesdays. The W is bolded because of Washington and because of water, neato. And at 8 because, yeah, make it a little later because it's a little secretive. Maybe even at midnight. No, I'm just kidding. Snacks and seriousness. Yes, we will have both those things. And itinerary, yeah, today we're trying to, well, this is kind of the overall itinerary. What I hope these teams are going to be able to help do is to assess the plans that I have thus far, to optimize the approach, you know, to lend all your collective and individual geniuses to say, I'm thinking about it wrong, or here's how we should go about it. We'll finalize the design, we'll spec the components, and then we can get a more exact budget from that. We're going to get a timeline of realistic amount of time it's going to take to implement these things, and finally we're going to build them, which will be fun. And there's supposed to be tests down there, but I don't know what happened to that Slack. Oh yeah, there it is. Well, the basics. All right, so this is some project overviews. So our design goal, number one, it has to be accurate and reliable. Yes, it's cool and it's cute and it's an art piece, but that F, that capital F in fart, has to be paramount. It's bolded, it's even a few font sizes bigger than the art. Because if people see that, well, it's cool and it was working for a while, but as soon as they realize that it's not working or they can't trust it, then its purpose is defeated, in my opinion. So it has to be accurate and reliable. And that's, second is it's playful and cute. Yeah, get it? There's a general overview, so now we're getting a little more techie here. So yeah, that's what it looks like in an isometric view.
Where's power coming from?
It's coming from the intended from the street,
Okay.
from the grid.
Got it.
But ideally from solar if we could somehow do that. But grid is probably more reliable, so we can maybe tie in solar and do one of those things where we say that we're generating at least annually, or our net result is net zero would be a goal, which I'm sure we can do. Just a matter of putting our minds to it. But it works out well because the intended location, there's a light post that has power just a couple feet away from it. So I'm actually going to propose to the city that we remove 2 light posts and replace them with these towers, and then we're just going to add a little light to it so it'll have the same function, so we don't need redundant poles. We'll see. Yeah, what else can we see? There's 2 lines. You can see there the lines are doubled. So the idea is that we'd send actually low voltage, 12 volt or whatever the proper voltage is, to those lines, and the boats would just be powered directly off of them. Yep, just like a bus or a train or something like that. An electric bus, of course, rather than have a battery on board. That was Nathan's suggestion, to just try to avoid using onboard batteries, because batteries can be annoying. They have charge cycles, they have all these, they're finicky. So if you can do away with them, do away with them. And 2 cables works out anyway because it helps better balance the boat. And you can see there too, I must take a laser pointer, but you can, just below the Space Needle there is a little control box, and that'll be where the main electronics are, where the wireless communication comes in, and even the little antenna on the top of the Space Needle, that is what will be used to communicate with the ferry boats. Isn't that cute? I thought that was a cute one. And it will send the signal down to the console. So the console is dependent on the control box up top, not the other way around. Yep. And little boats, I don't know, there's not too much more to see there. And this gets a little heady, but this is the electrical overview, the different electronic components highlighted in orange. The cables being electrified, the control box. Get the idea there. Grid power connection with optional solar supplement. Everything would be 12 volt ideally, because that's just better. Large capacity battery for operation through blackout. Yes, we get blackouts here. Ideally, it can run for 24 hours plus. And yeah, low voltage, the power to the ferry bots with the stainless steel track with the cables, which shouldn't be too hard. I think it's totally reasonable. I don't know how we get the power off of them, but maybe some brushes or something like that, some metallic brushes. And the control box has the cellular and the Wi-Fi, has the CPU and the memory. CPU could be a Raspberry Pi, Arduino, etc., but something open source, something that we can troubleshoot ideally remotely. And it has the 12 volt transformer, so that'll take grid power and we'll turn it into 12 volt. And yeah, the battery below, I think down on street side, and line power, that's where it comes in, and the electronic display, yes. Okay, the control tower. So VESSELWATCH, here's a screenshot of just all that information on VESSELWATCH. It's free and public, updated every 15 seconds. It has real-time information for all that fun stuff. And we would need to determine a method for the boats traveling in sync with that information, either by some calculation of the actual departure and the estimated arrival, somewhere along that timeline with kind of the actual installation functioning as sort of a progress bar. Or Robin even had a more a bolder, bigger idea is that we would somehow use the map data and its GPS coordinates and set up some sort of a path and how it deviated from the path. Kind of a, we would determine its typical route, and then if there was deviation, we'd be able to calculate ETA, which is
Would be a guess.
it would be a guess.
Yeah.
So here we get a little more technical here. So the mast and cable design goals, it has to be weatherproof, durable, reliable, long-lasting. We have to have reliable and secure internet communication. Yep, like I said, cellular is likely far more reliable than Wi-Fi. We want reliable and secure radio frequency communication with those ferry bots, I call them. Communication with the console, entirely solar powered, which is ambitious but possibly unrealistic. Yep, software, it should be IP accessible for updating, troubleshooting. Anchor light, those are the basic anchor light sequences we can talk about. Some bonus ambitions if you really want to go for extra credit. The lights on the cabin and the caps would be on automatic schedule set by sunrise, sunset times. There'd be a separate anchor light brightness values for day and night. Backup functionality in event of the internet break, defaulting to operation based on published selling schedule, and seamless transition between the two states. So if we lose internet for some reason, we don't want the boats to just be like, we want them to sally forth, to carry on. To stay underway. Backup functionality in the event of the vessel watch site down. If we lose our Washington State data, we would like to use the AIS data from the U.S. Coast Guard. So being a large ship, they're required to use the AIS system, which is the automatic identification system, and that data is important. It prevents collisions at sea. I could make a joke about the Navy right now, but I'm not going to do it. But they... yeah, so maybe we could use that data too as a backup scenario. Maybe we can use that entirely, like Robin says, as an ambitious way of finding our own solution. And the motion algorithm via AIS, right, yeah, that's it. That's what I just talked about, okay. The electronics here, the ferry, so this would be kind of on the electronic side, what the ferry bots have to do. This is this would be actually more for the Spartronics group, but